This is the She Shed, and today we're going to talk about the solar power and how we use that one solar panel on top of this shed to provide power to everything that we need inside. So come on in, and as you can see, the connections from the solar panel outside we bring inside and connect there using MC4 connectors down into an MPPT charge controller. This is a smart controller which basically regulates the amount of energy from the sun that gets regulated and how much goes out in to charge the batteries. So basically on the left hand side you see the red and black cables coming in from the solar panels. The next two red and blacks go down and connect into our batteries down below. This is two 6-volt golf cart batteries wired in series. You can see the gray cable in the center connecting one battery's positive to the other battery's negative. What that does, being connected in series, is it doubles the voltage of the battery to make those two 6s a 12-volt battery. And as you can see on the one end, the red cable there going to a positive and the black cable there going to a negative, that's what comes back up into the charge controller. So that's the first aspect of everything, the power from the sun coming in down into the charge controller then reading the batteries with these two cables in the middle and determining how much power it needs to send to the batteries to charge them. Off of that, we also then have a connection. You can see the cables at the bottom here are quite thicker, the gray shielded cables. That's 4-gauge wire. One coming off the positive from one battery and one coming off the negative of the other battery, again because that's considered now a 12-volt battery. Those both come in here to a fuse panel that I got off Amazon. This was I think $25 or $30. And so the negative is on the bottom, and I can tell that because of the 6 going horizontally, the 6 screw connections. That's the negative. The positive is on the top, so one of those connections, the negative from the bottom and the positive from the top, comes from the battery. The other negative and positive then come over into this inverter, and what this thing does is this converts the DC power that comes in from the sun and converts it to AC so that we can then plug any 120 volt appliance, or yes, 120 volt appliances in so that we can use them. This is what's really neat about solar though, is I have DC connections here, and then I also have AC connections here, all running off of the same batteries and the same power that's getting generated by the sun. So how does this all work? If we follow this black and red wiring, you'll see it goes over to a light. And this is just a simple LED light, similar to the ones you'd find in an RV. 12-volt connection, on-off switch, and that is, again, directly coming from the DC power. The other thing that I have is this panel, and this panel has 3 different items in it. It's got a voltmeter in the middle, which again, I can get that off of this MPPT charge controller, or I can just simply look down at the LED and see that these batteries right now are reading as 14.3, which is basically fully charged. To the right there, we have a couple of USB connections, 2.1 amp, 5 volt, and I use that to charge my cell phone as needed. Of course, any other USB appliances that you have, you can plug in there. And then the other connection is the cigarette lighter, similar to what you'd see in an automobile, and then just the orange or red on-off switch. That cigarette lighter connection I have running over here to a 12 volt DC fan. And again, I use that when it gets really, really hot. I use that to keep the batteries cool. But really the weather today is pretty nice, so there's no need to run that. Off of the inverter here, taking DC power, converting it to AC, when I turn this on, this is not one of the highest end inverters out there at all. It's only 750 watts, but that's way, way more power even than we need in here. And the only thing we have plugged in there right now is a fan, so I'll just turn that on. And when I turn it on, you can see just turning on the inverter dropped me from 14 volts, 14.2 I believe it was, down to 13.7. So the process of converting DC to AC, you automatically lose some of the power in itself. And then once I turn on the device, you'll see here 13.7 immediately drops down to 12.3, 12.2. It is sunny out right now. It's not a bad day, but we had some rain last night, and for the most part it's kind of a dreary day, or it's going to be a dreary day, but there is still some sun coming out, and it is providing us a little bit of voltage. You can see here that the charge controller tells us that right now there's 15 volts of power coming in off of the solar panel. Normally that's rated for 32 volts at its peak. So as I said, it's a little bit sunny out, but it's not supposed to be a very nice day. That is still pumping in some of the sun into the batteries to keep them going. And as I said, having this turned on itself takes a little bit of the power from the conversion from DC to AC. But as I said earlier, what's really, really cool here is I've got a light and I've got this panel running off of DC power. I've got this inverter then converting and running some AC, which I can run this fan from. So at the same time, we're able to utilize these batteries down below here, and we're able to run different appliances off of the different types of power, the AC and the DC. So that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to do another video shortly on the man cave setup. Very, very similar. You'll see some of the very similar items, but a little bit bigger capacity on the battery power, and we'll talk about that more when I get into that one. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like what you see, hit subscribe. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.